If You Don't Want My Opinion, Episode 12, Independence Day, 2024, by Carl Marking. I love America, which for someone who grew up during all the tensions of the Vietnam War, and as someone who came out during the AIDS crisis, says a lot. I think it was all the patriotism instilled in me during my years in Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts that kept my love for America intact. But I'm not so much loving Independence Day, which has, in recent years, been reduced to little more than fireworks, and flags imprinted with fascist slogans, or foreshadowing an imagined civil war. Running up to this 4th of July, we've had cringeworthy displays of belligerent entitlement, a twice-impeached former president indicted on 34 felony charges accusing a sitting president of being on illicit drugs, and a Supreme Court actively weakening or flat-out destroying long-standing legal precedents. In fact, lately, America feels like a teenager throwing temper tantrums. I don't have children, but I know teenagers can be selfish, narcissistic, nihilistic assholes, and that's pretty much exactly what I've been seeing in America's political landscape, from the Supreme Court, from the Republican Party, and from the media. A bunch of whiny, selfish brats looking for the greatest number of clicks, likes, and followers through ever-escalating, outlandish, attention-grabbing behavior. It's as if America's government has been left home alone by her parents with a car, a full tank of gas, and the parents didn't mark the levels on the liquor bottles before heading out. So many groups are trying to get away with as much as they can before their parents get home. To be clear, the parents are us, the voters, and the children are the officials we've elected to keep things under control on our behalf. We, the people, unleashed a nasty genie from its bottle, and it's up to us, come November, to put it back and shove that cork, well, wherever it needs to go. Every summer for most of my life, I have watched the movie musical 1776. During Trump's presidency, I didn't have the heart. I'm a bit on the fence this year as well. The rampant optimism embraced in 1776 has paled against the brutal realities of the political landscape in which we find ourselves. I also try and read something either about American history, the Declaration of Independence, a biography of one of the Founding Fathers, or something on the principles of democracy. I recently found a couple of great quotes I feel particularly relevant to the issues we face as a nation. The first is from John Adams. Government is instituted for the common good, for the protection, safety, prosperity, and happiness of the people, and not for profit, honor, or private interest of any one man, family, or class of men. Therefore, the people alone have an incontestable, unalienable, and indefeasible right to institute government, and to reform, alter, or totally change the same, when their protection, safety, prosperity, and happiness require it. There is supposed to be a covenant formed between any government and its people. The government should protect its citizens from harm, ensure their safety, allow for a system that fosters prosperity, and allow people to find their joy. Simple concepts that get muddied quickly. For me, this all boils down to this. Don't knowingly harm others through your actions or inactions. That applies to governments, corporations, and citizens. Establish a set of norms and laws and enforce them equally, regardless of race, religion, or status. Ensure government systems afford the same opportunities to everyone equally and fairly. And allow people to determine what makes them happy, without a lot of regulation, beyond ensuring that one group's happiness doesn't come at the expense of another's. That's not all that complicated. It's the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. It's no wonder Christians are so open-minded and supportive of people's differences. Conversely, what should a government expect from its citizens? I learned of the German-born and Pennsylvania-raised motivational speaker, William Boetker. He lived from 1873 to 1962, and among his many contributions was something he called the 7 National Crimes. Once an ordained minister, he authored these as a governmental equivalent to the 7 deadly sins. I believe them to be particularly relevant given where America finds itself. They are, I don't think. I don't know. I don't care. I am too busy. I leave well enough alone. I have no time to read and find out. I am not interested. I don't think. People are free to think or not think whatever they want, but to me this refers to people who have stopped thinking for themselves. This could be anything from an elected official doing what is better for their donors rather than what is best for their constituents. Or this could apply to voters who simply repeat whatever they heard most recently, the most number of times. Whether you lean right or left, don't just consume information put before you. Seek out information from multiple sources and think it through for yourself. I know, adulting is difficult sometimes. As for I don't know, there's nothing wrong with acknowledging you don't know something. The sin lies in doing nothing to rectify your ignorance, or worse, pretending you do know something when in fact you do not. As my friend Harriet used to say, you're a grown-ass man, or woman, depending. Figure it out. I don't care. A is for apathy. I despise apathy. Apathy is akin to sloth, and in any situation, apathy leads to ruin. Apathetic employees are an energy suck. An apathetic partner can doom a relationship. An apathetic government paves the way for chaos and harm. And an apathetic voter is the root of most governmental problems. I recently heard a woman in her 20s say, I'm going to exercise my right not to vote. I thought, sweet Jesus, what an idiotic ideology. Franklin D. Roosevelt had a more eloquent response. Nobody will ever deprive the American people of the right to vote except the American people themselves, and the only way they could do this is by not voting. You want a dictator or a king to ensure your vote never matters again? Then by all means, don't vote this November. You may never be asked to again. I am too busy. This has become a go-to excuse for just about everything. I'm too busy to learn about this or that. I'm too busy to support this cause I tell people matters to me. I'm just so busy. Get over yourself. I also hear this from people who complain about everything from their job to their relationships to their community, and when given the opportunity to do the work to improve any of those things, they say, you guessed it, I'm too busy. Well, listeners, democracy isn't easy. Democracy takes work and commitment. You either want it or you don't. John Adams once said, there are only two creatures of value on the face of the earth, those with the commitment and those who require the commitment of others. So I say to you, get off your ass, get involved, do your due diligence, and vote. I leave well enough alone. America is not well. America has had a rough few years. We had a pandemic that killed millions and was politicized in a way never before seen in our history as a nation. School shootings have become so commonplace, people barely seem to care anymore. The reversal of Roe v. Wade and the political fallout of same has put women's lives needlessly at risk. It has also led to terrible suffering and an increase in newborn fatalities because women in some states were forced to carry fetuses to term that had no hope for survival once they were born. What a disgusting, cruel, and dystopian fact. I'm looking at you, Texas. I have no time to read and find out. I think Boettger really had an axe to grind about apathy because to me, this is the same thing. It's also a different flavor of I'm too busy and I don't care and I don't think. We live in a time when binge-watching a Netflix show has been elevated to the status of accomplishing something. When we're all in the final throes of life, I have to imagine we're going to care more about the status of the American healthcare system than those 74 episodes of Game of Thrones we just couldn't wait to watch. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s quote, "Freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor, it must be demanded by the oppressed," may seem a bit much for this one, but I'll say this. It's far easier to keep a right you already have than to regain it if it's been taken away from you by a would-be king or temporary dictator. I am not interested. Again, apathy. America is on the edge of many knives, from climate change to fascism. We have a presidential candidate who is literally quoted from the Nazi playbook and openly courts the support of neo-Nazis in all their forms and factions. The gay community borrowed heavily from parallels of the Holocaust as we fought for our lives during the AIDS epidemic, and then for our rights as American citizens. You may remember our use of the slogan, "Silence equals death," There's a famous confessional saying written by the German Lutheran pastor Martin Niemöller about the silence of German intellectuals and clergy as the Nazi Party rose to power while targeting and purging group after group, something they continued once fully in power. Niemöller's themes were about persecution, guilt, repentance, solidarity, and personal responsibility, or the lack thereof, all of which allowed so many groups of people to be systematically executed. To paraphrase his writing, first they came for the Capitol and I did nothing, because it was just a peaceful protest, and I was watching Bridgerton. Then they came for people who treat people the way they wished people would treat them, those woke bastards, and I did nothing because Chick-fil-A and Hobby Lobby were having a sale, and oh, I don't care. Then they came for a woman's right to autonomy over her reproductive health, and I did nothing because how bad can it really be to carry a rapist's baby to term, even if your rapist is your father? I mean, there's always adoption, right? Then they came for gay marriage, and I did nothing because the Democrats and a few old-school Republicans were already able to codify that right into law. For now. Then they came for drag queens who wanted to make children happy by reading them stories about how special and precious they are. And I did nothing because I don't have kids, and who reads anyway? I don't have time for that. There's a new spin-off of The Walking Dead dropping, and drag queens make me uncomfortable. Then they came for gender-affirming care, and I did nothing because I'm too busy. I don't understand it. I don't have time to read or learn about it, nor do I want to. It's just easier to pass judgment from afar on an issue I don't understand. Finally, they came for democracy, wrapped in an American flag, holding a Bible, and brandishing an automatic rifle with a bump stock. And I did nothing because Biden is old and I decided to exercise my right not to vote. A right I may not have much longer. I look at images of the Statue of Liberty and I think, God damn, she must be tired from holding that beacon of enlightenment and freedom. I know I'm tired. I'm tired of the gaslighting. I'm tired of the haters having come out from behind their masks and into the light, emboldened by the fascist rhetoric of a former twice-impeached president and the party he's grabbed so firmly by the pussy there is no letting go. Rhetoric further amplified by a broken media that equates giving time to fascists as balanced journalism. But I'm also resilient. I think America, and most Americans are too. And I think in the end, we're all somewhere in the middle on most issues. But are enough of us both willing and able to do the work necessary to ensure this great American experiment of democracy isn't snuffed out? Do we want a dictator? Do we want people to live free from religious persecution? Do we want our children's sexual identities controlled and determined by a group of fearful, spiteful teenagers having their own identity crisis and temper tantrums? Do we want women to have autonomy over their bodies? There's the potential for 2 seats on the Supreme Court to be vacated and refilled in the next 4 years. Who do we want making the recommendations and decisions to fill them? We'll see this November. I don't care what your political affiliation is, but there is no point in squabbling about our differences as a nation if we extinguish the beacon of light that has been American democracy. Happy Independence